Hey, this is Nick Pollard. I'm a research analyst at Cirrus Research, and I'm going to give a brief overview of our recent briefing covering markets in June. So, really the major theme that we feel came out in June was the pricing in of the possibility of a recession. So, the first half of the year was really dominated by the inflation narrative and the Fed hiking regime. What we saw is the most speculative areas of the market. So here we have our next generation internet ETF as a proxy, had a drawdown of nearly 50%. On the other hand, we had energy have a pretty remarkable run. Although, more recently, as fears about the cyclical, the economic cycle came into play, we saw something of a drawdown. And then, looking at broader measures such as the Russell 2000 value in blue and the Russell 2000 growth in yellow, we saw that the value stocks offered more protection over the course of the first half of the year. And then you have the defensive dividend yields offering even more kind of impressive performance. So that leads us kind of to the question of, where we have the profit cycle. Are we going to go into a recession? This is, of course, very, very difficult to forecast. But, the market has begun to discount the possibility of a recession. And so if we take a quick look at where the fundamentals are compared to expectations of the market, we can see that top line growth shown in purple is in excess of 25% on a year-over-year basis, which is really a historically high number. We should expect to see some mean reversion there. And we also see expectations as approximated by sell-side analyst revisions as still relatively elevated. They came down from the really strong optimism following the reopening of the economy, but since then they've seen something of a drop, but they still remain historically high. With over 50% of earnings estimates over the past 3 months, still getting raised higher. So we expect revisions to fall. We expect top line growth to fall. However, does this cyclical slowdown lead to a recession? I think that's really maybe the big debate. And we saw that debate really start to get priced in June. All right. So, again, if you go to the full report, there's all sorts of factor tables, performance tables. But this pricing in of recession trade is the major thing we wanted to highlight for June. Thank you.